Perhaps before we open our Bibles and read this evening, I could just tell you a little story that laid on my heart to share of another convention, same time, similar place many years ago, back in 1981 when I was just 7 years old and came to convention so excited to see my friends and my favorite workers, and also came to convention for the first time with a troubled heart because at 7 years old I was beginning to understand what the workers had been telling me about my sinful nature and all that was wrong with me. And I noticed this darkness within me of wanting to not listen to my parents and stay up past my bedtime, or to watch television when I was at a friend's house. And one time was a real eye-opener for me that after everyone had gone to bed, I got out of my bed and ate some Oreo cookies that I wasn't supposed to. And so I came to convention for the first time, painfully aware of what a sinful nature I had, and I needed help. And I knew that there was an answer in God's truth and God's true way, and that it might be nice if I felt called by God on that Saturday evening to stand and profess. But the devil is cunning and he's crafty, especially with children, and I also felt very resistant to that. And then why should I do this? I want to have my own way. I want to have my own will. And so when the Saturday evening came around, I was feeling very conflicted and very upset. And so I just wanted to get away from it. I wanted to get away from God's call, just as Jonah did. And so after the meeting had started, I suppose 15 minutes, I just got up and walked out. And I thought to myself, Uncle Mike, you need to go somewhere where God isn't, where you don't need to listen to him and you can just get your thoughts together. And isn't that what the devil wants us to do, to trust our own thinking? And so I thought, where can I go where God wouldn't be? And so it wasn't hard. I didn't have to go far. And I found the most unholy, ungodly place of hopelessness and despair ever known on earth. And it was a convention bathroom of that time. And that particular bathroom was a 10-holer, 5 on each side, front and back. And friends, I tell you, by the third day of convention in high 80s, low 90s heat, all of that stew and breakfast hash and who knows what else had gone through. It was a dreary place. And I walked in and I could smell it with my burning eyes. And just as I was about to think of a way I could get out of it, I looked up and I saw standing on one of the stalls a man who must have been in his early 20s with long hair and sideburns and a rock and roll t-shirt and a black leather jacket. And I said, "What are you doing up there?" And he said, "Uncle Mike, just like you, I was raised in a professing family. My parents tried to show me the perfect way, but I wouldn't listen, and I never professed, and I made all kinds of bad choices. And my life has been very much like where I am right now, a convention bathroom. And so I've come back to meeting to maybe try to find peace with God." And I said, "Well, what are you doing in here? Why don't you go in the meeting?" And he said, "Uncle Mike, pride is a powerful thing, and the devil knows how to manipulate it." And it hit me then. God laid it on my heart what I needed to do. And so I reached out my hand and I said, "Come with me. Let's go back into the meeting together." And isn't that nice, like Daniel in the lion's den, that we can help each other, we can work together? And so as I reached out his hand, he stepped down on the lid of the toilet hole that was closed, and his foot stepped through and broke, and he fell in. A mighty splash and an awful sound, and it was awful, friends, to see someone go that way and to know his soul wasn't saved. And as he lay there, face down in the feces, breathing his last, staring up at me with his little prodigal eyes, all I could hear him say was, "Why, Uncle Mike, why? Why did I let it come to this?" And he said, "You go on without me. I've made my choice. Now you go make yours." And so, friends, it was with a heavy heart that I left him behind. And I walked in there, and Wayne Kerr was speaking like I'd never heard him before. A beautiful message. And I made a promise that night that I wouldn't be like that young man who let my stones grow among a thorny heart and wasted a life of riotous living where the good shepherd tried to sow the seed, but that I would give my life to God. And so when it came time to come to the third verse, I stood to my feet, and my life has been a blessing ever since. That I didn't have to go through like our brother who perished in that large outhouse, that I was able to live a life that wasn't one like a convention bathroom. And so if there's any prodigals here tonight, maybe you could think about how your life has been like a convention bathroom since you left God's way. Think about how the devil's tricked you into thinking you have so much peace and joy. And just come home. So when we come to the third verse of this hymn, just read through it. Just as I am, Jesus is pleading, see by the portals, have you any room for Jesus? Please stand when we come to the third verse.